Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī is, and what he left us with is a vast amount of literature and treasure, just by going through which one can have this motivation, or one can have the inspiration to perform pure devotional service. So we'll try to cover what all we can do in this 50 minutes. This book is not translated in Tamil, so it will be a good introduction for those who are not able to read English to have a good idea of how his early life was and what gave him the inspiration to carry on, or to carry on the desire, or to fulfill the desire of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. So yeah, if we see his life, actually in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in Antilila, this verse comes, is Prema Pracharan Ar Pashanda Dalan Dui Karya Avadhuta Karena Brahman. So this verse basically means that there are two things that Shri Nityananda Prabhu did while preaching. One was Prem Pracharan. So the prachar, or the preaching that he did, was of love of Godhead, of pure devotional service onto Krishna. And another activity that he engaged in was Pashanda Dalan. Okay. Pashanda Dalan means to cut off or to destroy all those philosophical conclusions which are against the principles of pure devotional service. And if we see the life of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, so his major of his life was concentrated actually on Pashanda Dalan. Of course, to his intimate disciples, he also spoke about the pastimes of Krishna, the pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the mood of Srimati Radharani. So there are lectures which he gave to his intimate disciples regarding these principles also. But generally speaking, the preaching which was done to outside people, to people who used to come to Gaudiya Math, and people who are new to Gaudiya Vaishnavism, to this concept of Krishna consciousness, primarily he spoke about the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, where this Pashanda Dalan is present prominently that way. So this is also one of the reasons, or is actually the main reason, why he is also called as Acharya Kesari, or the Lion Guru. So normally we have heard that he is called Lion Guru or Simha Guru, but the Simha Guru is actually not the term which was given to him by his disciples in Gaudiya Math. He was called Acharya Kesari. So it's the same, synonym is the same. Acharya Kesari means the one who is an Acharya and who is just like a lion. Kesari means lion. And this is also important. And if we see also, when he used to give his lectures, or if we see his writings, he used to use all these complicated words and very difficult statements to make a simple point. Okay, and that was done deliberately. And that was not done out of arrogance of his scholarship, but it was done to attract the elite, or to attract the leaders of the society. So in Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna says, Yadyat acharati shreshthas tattad evetaro janaha sayat pramanam kurte lokastad anuvartate. So as the leaders, we have the acharan of the leader basically determines the acharan of his followers. So Yadyat acharati shreshthas. So the preaching method itself is such that if the leaders can be motivated, or the leaders can be reformed to accept this Krishna consciousness, then the followers will automatically follow. So his preaching was primarily oriented towards those elite, or those who are scholarly, because it's the reason. Whenever there are opulences, people try to follow them. So there are 6 opulences of Krishna also. Aishwaryasya, Samagrasya, Veerasya, Yashasya, Jnanam is also there, one of the opulences. So wherever there is a scholar, or whenever there is a scholarship, then people get attracted to that. Even in the modern world also we see that those who are intellectuals, those who are scientists, then people are automatically oriented towards them and they listen to them. So his lectures, his works were primarily meant for such an elite audience. And if we can convert such intellectuals, such thinkers, the thought provokers of the society, then he will be able to reach a mass of people. So that was one of the reasons why his writings are so complicated. It's just like conquering in a war. Right? Whenever a war happens, then the concentration of the enemy warriors is always to occupy the commander-in-chief of the opposite enemy, or rather of the enemy. And then if he can either arrest that enemy, or if he can arrest the commander-in-chief, or if he can kill the king of that enemy, then he does not have to fight with the local army anymore, because the inspiration, the mindset or the enthusiasm of the crowd automatically diminishes by conquering the leader. So this is like this. No, Srila Prabhupada also said that this we are against, we have declared war against Maya. So it's like a war, and he also used this epithets where he used to say that this Krishna conscious movement is just like a war, and we are all its soldier. So there are disciplines also which a soldier has to follow. So it's similar to that. So therefore, his writings and lectures are actually meant for the leaders of the society, and to use his scholarship so that he can propagate the principles of Krishna consciousness. So this was how he conducted his life. So we will see how some basic biography. Now, normally, when we are talking about the disappearance of an acharya, then we reflect back on his life and we speak about his major accomplishments. But today, being the auspicious occasion of his appearance day, so we'll also see a few initial days of his life and what all pastimes he performed in those few days before he took sannyas. So actually today we are going to discuss only till that point where he takes sannyas. After sannyas, of course, it was a blast, so to speak, about blast on Krishna consciousness, or blast about Krishna consciousness, blast on the material realm, so that this movement can be spread. So unfortunately, we will not be able to go into that because of lack of time. So he was born in 1874 in Jagannath Puri, and his father, we know, was the famous Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, and his mother was Bhagavati Devi. He was the sixth child of his mother, and he was fourth of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. Actually, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur had one more wife before, who passed away after giving birth to only one son. So this is Bhagavati Devi, his mother Bhagavati Devi is his second wife, and he is the fifth child, or rather he is the sixth child of Bhagavati Devi and the third child from Bhagavati Devi of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. So when he was born, the signs of him being a very glorious acharya was already visible, because when he took birth, his umbilical cord was actually wrapped around his body as Upavita. It signifies that he actually is a great personality, although Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur does not technically belong, or rather according to the seminal line, he did not come in a Brahmanical line. Of course, the great Vaishnava is more than a Brahmana. But still, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, when he was born, his name was Bimala Prasad. He was given the name Bimala Prasad, and he had this umbilical cord wrapped like an Upavita, which basically suggested that he's taken birth in a family of a great devotee, and then he's, of course, more than a Brahmana. He does not have to undergo even initiation process, because the Lord himself sent him with that initiation, with an Upavita, as the umbilical cord as his Upavita. Then his head was big in proportion to his body, which also signified he's a very intellectual person. And when he was 5 months old, then the Jagannath Puri Rath Yatra, it actually used to come in front of his house, and it stopped right in front of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur's house for 3 days. That Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur instructed all the devotees to perform a tumultuous kirtan. And taking opportunity of this, then Bhagavati Devi took the son and she brought him in front of Lord Jagannath. And this boy, just like that, he just turned towards the lotus feet of Lord Jagannath, and as if reciprocating to his obeisances to Lord Jagannath, the garland fell from Lord Jagannath onto Bimala Prasad. And taking this as an opportunity, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur also performed the Annaprashna ceremony. And then, of course, as he grew up, when he was 4 years old, this is famous mango incident. So once mango has been brought up, which has not been offered to the Lord, and Bimala Prasad, out of his childness, he just took a mango, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he told him that this is not how it is to be done. So one has to offer it to the Lord first, and then only one should take the remnants of the Lord. So he was only 4 years old at that time, but Bimala Prasad, he took a vow that from this point onwards, he will not eat mango in his life. In his entire life, he did not take mango. So this shows the determination of Bimala Prasad. And 4-year-old child, what consciousness does he have? Normal child, if you see, what consciousness he has, is more playful in nature. But his one point, we say, Vyavasayatmaka buddhi. So that Vyavasayatma Buddhi was there right from his young age. When he was 4 years old, the determination he put. And after growing up, he did not think, oh, I was only 4 years old. What did I know? Chalo, let's take some mango. Whatever that vow that he took at 4 years old, he continued that for entire life. Then his schooling happened. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a professor before he took the role of a magistrate. So he wanted Vimala Prasad to have Oriental education, as it was called at that time, which means it's a combination of both, of the Vedic education as well as the English education. And Vimala Prasad at that time, he excelled in everything. And when he was only 14 years old, he was so excelled, or he was such an excellent Jyotish mathematician, that he started writing a book on Siddhanta Shiromani. Siddhanta Shiromani and Surya Siddhanta. He started writing commentaries on that when he was only 14 years old. And he completed those works when he was only 19 years old. So in 1893, when he was 19 years old, he completed Siddhanta Shiromani. And when he was 22 years old, in 1896, he completed his entire commentary on Surya Siddhanta. And this was also significant because for past 8 centuries, actually the way the cosmology works, there are to be some corrections to the consonants that has to be done, which has not happened in the past 8 centuries because nobody could understand them properly. But Vimala Prasad, he understood it properly, and then he was able to make all those changes to the calculations of Surya Siddhanta, and then he published his work. So seeing his excellence in Jyotish, then he was given the title Siddhanta Saraswati. Okay, so it was actually not his initiation name, or it was not his sannyas name. He had this name of Siddhanta Saraswati right when he was only 22 years old. Or rather, even before that, I think when he was 15 years old, he was given that title. Right? So he was not a frivolous boy, he was playing around when he was 14, 15 years old. He was very serious about every task that he undertook. And he was awarded this particular title. In 1892, when he was 18 years old, and he was admitted into the Sanskrit college in Calcutta. And he was not interested in all this academic study that they used to teach in Calcutta. So he used to have these 2 books of Srila Thakur. He used to have this Prarthana and Prema Bhakti Chandrika. And then he will open, whenever the lecture used to go, he used to open that book, the big book of his academic book. And in that book, he'll keep these 2 books, Prarthana and Prema Bhakti Chandrika, and then he used to read them. He was not interested in all this academic study. But then does not mean that he did not excel in Vyakaran study at all. Actually, he studied the entire Siddhanta Kaumudi. It's not Lagu Siddhanta Kaumudi, the entire Siddhanta Kaumudi in only 3 months. And those who know Sanskrit Vyakaran, they know that Lagu Siddhanta Kaumudi itself is a study for years, 4 to 5 years. And Siddhanta Kaumudi actually takes 12 years to complete. But he completed the entire study only in 3 months. And when his teacher warned him that he should not be behaving like this in the classroom, then he rejected his teacher and he dropped out of college also. Saying, my aim is not to become a scholar or to get some degrees like this, but my goal is to propagate Hari Seva. So therefore, all these things are only, whatever studies and whatever scholarship he pursued, it was not his main goal at any point of the time. All these things were only for his side pursuits. His pursuits were only for the side. It was going side by side. But then he studied all these different things so that these things can be employed in Krishna consciousness. So we'll also see further that how the Yukta Vairagya principle is actually embodied in his entire personality. So, and because he comes in an aristocratic family, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a magistrate. So he moved around in the student circles, very nicely dressed in dhoti kurta, in a Punjabi suit. That's what it's called, not a nice coat, overcoat, or a nice shawl, and then a nice dhoti. And then he used to discuss with the students about religion, politics, and so on. But his consciousness was always thinking about how to propagate Harikatha. Then he also formed a sabha called as Chira Kumara Sabha. When students are there in that particular age, there is a vairagya is there that we will never get married, we'll become a brahmachari. That vairagya is there. So then he started this sabha called as Chira Kumara Sabha. He is Naishtik brahmachari for entire his life, and so many students joined the sabha. But only Vimala Prasad or Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he followed that vow of brahmacharya throughout his entire life. Every other student got married. Okay. That's also one thing that happened. And in 1895, that's 20, when he was 21 years old, then he was employed by the Maharaj of Tripura uh, as a secretary for his administrative affairs. And Siddhanta Saraswati at that time, he took this as an opportunity to study the literatures which is present in the royal library of the Maharaj of Tripura. So, Vedic kings, or till at least this 100, 120 years back also, these kings used to have their libraries maintained for the scholars. So much work was available there, and Vimala Prasad Siddhanta Saraswati took it as an opportunity to study all these works there. But then, whenever we speak about, or whenever there is politics, there is Raja, Maharaj, Kshatriyas, and so on, then there's envy, there is politics, there are so many things, so many duplicitous things that happen, that go around. And Siddhanta Saraswati did not like that. So he dropped out from the service of Maharaj Tripura in 1905. Which means he was he was doing the service of the Maharaj of Tripura for 10 years. But then by 1901 itself, he has gradually withdrawn himself. And in lieu of the service that he has done for Maharaj of Tripura, he was offered a pension which he took till I think 1905, after he left in 1901, and after that till 1908, this pension was then sent to an institution which was started by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, if I remember correctly. And because he was a very great astrologer, astrology is not the proper word, he was a Jyotish, which means a combination of astronomy and astrology also. So because he was a great Jyotish, Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj actually had this desire to come up with a Panjika, or a Panchanga, or an almanac specifically for Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So in 1901, he wrote this Navadip Panjika, which is similar to how Srila Jiva Goswami wrote this Harinamamrita Vyakaran. So Harinamamrita Vyakaran is same as Panini's grammar, but the sutras are explained with the names of Krishna. Similarly, this Panjika was written by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati to fulfill the desire of Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And he gave the names of the month with Krishna's name. So we see the Madhav month, Damodar month, Kartik month, like that. So all these names were actually given by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So he was the one who made this Vaishnava calendar, which we are actually following now. So our calendar is based on Navadip Panjika, and then the different times of the appearance and disappearance of Acharyas was also made by him. So this whole entire concept he brought about, and then we also take reference to Hari Bhakti Vilas. So that is how the current Vaishnava calendar is made. So you can say he is the initiator or architect of this Panjika, or the almanac that we follow now. Now, with respect to, as he grew up, then of course Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he initiated in Siddhanta Saraswati or Vimala Prasad at that time in the worship of Kurma Shila. There was a Shaligram Shila that was found when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was excavating a particular land for constructing an ashram. So at that time, they got a Kurma Shila, and Vimala Prasad expressed his desire to worship that Kurma Shila, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur initiated him to this mantras through which he can worship the Kurma Shila. And he also gave him a Tulsi Mala, in which he should suppose. So he actually, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was very, very particular that Vimala Prasad chants his rounds every day. This happened when I think he was 6 or 7 years old. So from that time onwards, of course, Vimala Prasad was also interested, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur also pushed him to chant. And from that time onwards, Srila Vimala Prasad has been chanting. But when he made progress, he also used to read these different works of Kavi Karnapur. He also read Jayadev Goswami's Gita Govind during his college time. So he expressed his desire to formally accept a spiritual master. So that time, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he directed him to Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj. So Siddhanta Saraswati, he met Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj for the first time in 1898. That is 2 years before his initiation. This was in Swananda Sukhada Kunj. So those of you who have been to Mayapur, this is in Gotramadip, the other side of the Jalangi. So there the Swananda Sukhada Kunj is still there. And this is where Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur used to have sabha or meetings of all the Gaudiya Vaishnava devotees. They used to discuss Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and the other scriptures, the works of the Goswamis. So for 2 years, Siddhanta Saraswati had association of Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj, And when he requested about, or when he asked about initiation to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, then he said, you should take initiation from Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. So Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj at that time was staying in this Kulia Gram. So Kulia is basically the Navadvip. So again, those who have been to Mayapur. So we have the actual Mayapur. Okay, then we have this Gothamadip this side, opposite Jalaki. And if you cross Ganga, then this is the modern town of Navadvip, which was called as Kulia Gram at that time. So Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj used to stay there. And Siddhanta Saraswati, he went to Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. He asked him, please accept him as his disciple. So Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj was not very much inclined. So he said, no, there was one disciple which I accepted. After that he cheated me, so therefore I'm not going to accept any more disciples. So, but then Siddhanta Saraswati, he requested once again. So Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj said, okay, now let me ask Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and if he gives me permission, I will initiate it. So this second time he met. And third time when he went, then Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj said, see, I have not asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I cannot give you initiation, just go away. So Siddhanta Saraswati, he pleaded with Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. He said that, please have your mercy on me. Otherwise, I just, Karuna na huile, kandiya kandiya, prana rakhi bhuar. Is exactly the words that he quoted. He said, if I don't have your mercy, then just by crying and crying, I'll give up my life. So please don't be so hard on me. So seeing his determination, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, he asked Siddhanta Saraswati to take bath in Saraswati and initiated him in Gaudiya Sampradaya in Jan 1900. Okay, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati in his works, he also reflects. All these works are actually there in Bengali, in the Gaudiya Patrika, the Harmonist, and other magazines of Sajjana Toshni and so on. So he reflects that I considered, Siddhanta Saraswati, he said that I considered myself as a great scholar. I consider myself as a cultured person. I've got so much education. I've studied so much. I'm an aristocratic person, coming in an aristocratic family. But then when Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, he rejected me completely. At that time, I understand that the wealth that he possessed, the wealth which I thought my scholarship, and using that scholarship for propagating Hariseva and so on, I have become attached to this kind of scholarship. The wealth which Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj possessed is actually much, much more than what I considered to be of primemost importance. So it's similar to the instance that comes about Sanatana Goswami having this Chintamani jewel and throwing it into the dustbin. And then a person who takes benediction from Shiva, he then comes to Sanatana Goswami. So that story is there. So when that person understands that Sanatana Goswami has thrown the Chintamani jewel into a garbage pile, then he understands Sanatana Goswami must possess something more. It's similar in this way, that Siddhanta Saraswati's whatever little pride that he may have had, of course it's part of pastimes, whatever pride he may have had, everything was demolished by his association with Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. And also he also said, reflecting on his meeting with his initiation and his meeting with Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, that before I met him, my impression was that the writings of the devotional school could not be fully realized in a practical life in this world. So he thought that whatever writings of the devotional school were there, the Goswamis were examples of great acharyas, great devotees, Srimad Bhagavatam. To fully realize that in a practical world, in a practical life, in this world, is actually not possible. But when he met Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, then he understood that this is possible actually. And we'll also see an instance comes about this later on. And Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj gave 3 primary instructions to him. He said not to make disciples, not to associate with anyone, with materialists, and not to go to Calcutta. But then if you see his life, Siddhanta Saraswati, he did apparently opposite things. He made lots of disciples, but then he never saw. But these instructions apparently, or if you see the words itself, it may seem that Siddhanta Saraswati did not follow these words, but in spirit, actually he followed all the instructions that all these 3 instructions that Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj gave him. Not to make disciples, although he accepted the position of a guru, but then he never accepted them, his disciples, as his own disciples. He always saw them as his own guru. He used to address these disciples also as Prabhu. Like, you are my master, I am learning devotional service. How to serve the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from you. So therefore, you are actually not my disciples, you are actually my guru. So that way he never made any disciples. Then not to associate with anyone. So all he was preaching in this material world to so many different people, but he never associated with anyone because then Srila Siddhanta Saraswati himself explained that association means to take something from somebody, to accept something from somebody. But with all this materialists, I was always trying to pass on the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I never accepted anything. So therefore, this way I did not associate with anyone. And he did not go to Calcutta because wherever he went, he always was going for the pleasure, for the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And even after establishment of Gaudiya Math also, he never went to any other places in Calcutta. And wherever he used to go, of course, it was for the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he used to go to Gaudiya Math. So that way, he never actually entered into Calcutta. Calcutta is Kolikata, is actually the place of Kali. That's how the etymology comes to. But then he never entered Calcutta in this way. So in spirit, he actually maintained or he actually followed the instructions of his spiritual master completely, thoroughly and fully. Although apparently it may seem that he did not. And this also we see after he took sannyas. So before he took sannyas, he was completely renounced. And after he took sannyas, it looked like he was completely attached. Because now he is wearing this leather shoe, leather jackets, leather boots, cap, and then he was roaming around in cars and so on. So it's completely opposite. Now one who takes sannyas renounces all these things. But then in Siddhanta Saraswati's case, it was completely opposite. But then the understanding is that he used it under the principle of the Vairagya because that gave him access to all this elite to whom he wanted to preach, the leaders of the society. So after that, after his initiation, then he came back to Puri. And in Puri, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has his Bhakti Kuti, where he used to discuss Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Govinda Bhashya of Baldev Vidyabhushan, Shat Sandarbhas of Shiva Goswami, Srimad Bhagavatam, and different Upanishads. And in Puri, at that time, there was another so-called devotee, whose name was Radharaman Charandas Babaji, who had started this new jingle or new mantra, Bhaja Nityai Go Radhe Sham, Japa Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. He used to say that you should chant the names of Nitai and Gaur. So Jai Nityananda, Jai Gauranga, like that you can chant. But whenever you have to chant the holy names of the Lord, you have to chant only using the beats. So Japa Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, like that he has created a jingle. And Siddhanta Saraswati did not like that at all. So he protested against this. He said, he had lots of discussions with the followers of this Radharaman Charandas Babaji, with him also, and with his followers also. And he fought with him literally in debate for almost 2 years, that is from 1902 to 1904 in Puri. And because he was situated in Puri at that time, he also used to go to Govardhan Math. So this Govardhan Math was established by Sripad Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya established his 4 math, one in Badri, one in Rameshwaram, one in Dwarka, and one in Jagannath Puri. So this Govardhan Math was established by Shankaracharya. And Siddhanta Saraswati used to go there very frequently, and that Acharya at that time was Madhusudan Tirtha. So he was there and he used to associate with him for a long time, discussing all the philosophy of Shankaracharya, the propagation of the Advaitavada philosophy, monism, which Shankaracharya propagated. So, other devotees who were not, who could not understand the reason why Siddhanta Saraswati was going, thought that he's associating so much with this Govardhan Math, he'll become an impersonalist. They thought like that. But then the reason why Siddhanta Saraswati actually went to that math was to understand the logics or understand the explanations of these Mayavadi philosophers so that in future he can defeat them. And this has been his life. So he did all this study in the Royal Library of Maharaj of Tripura. He associated with Madhusudan Tirtha, went to Govardhan Math for all these times. And he also conducted lots of research into these 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas. So he studied the entire Vedanta philosophy, we can say, because primarily Vedanta philosophy is followed by these 5 schools, where 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas, and then the Shankara's line is there. So he studied all that and became accomplished in that. Then for propagation of his mission in 1904, he traveled widely in different places in East Bengal, which is Bangladesh now, and he met many people there, discussed with many scholars so that he can understand the history, the practices and philosophy of the different groups in Bengal, not only Vaishnavism but of Shakta, Shaivism, all these different groups. And in 1905 he went to South India. Because there were so many scholars in South India also. So there was one person, Rajendra Kumar Vidyabhushan. He was also a Mayavadi, but then still he took him so that he can take him around all the places in South India. So he visited Udupi, he went to Srirangam, Sringeri, Simhachalam, Tirupati, Kanchipuram, Kumbakonam, Madurai, all these different places he went. And he actually wanted to have a debate with the Shankaracharya of Sringeri, but then they did not allow. Apparently, they did not allow because Siddhanta Saraswati actually does not come in seminal line, in Brahminical line, seminally. So he was not allowed to debate. And they also thought that Gaudiya Vaishnavism is not actually a proper school. Okay, there are 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas we accept, but Gaudiya Vaishnavism we will not accept. And when he came to Srirangam, then he gathered information about how Tridandi Sannyasa works and other information, which we'll see. He was the first one. If you see historically also, after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates, after that line, there was this big gap in which devotees or Gaudiya Vaishnava followers actually did not take sannyas. They accepted the Vesh of Babaji and they were completely beyond the realm of this Varna and Ashrama institution. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas because he wanted to preach. That's the reason. We understand that from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And after that, Gaudiya Vaishnavism has kind of lost into very small pockets of groups where devotees were there and they used to practice the principles of Krishna consciousness, but there was no push for preaching. So again, imbibing the mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati also accepted sannyas, and after a long gap in our line of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, he was the first one to accept sannyas, and from then on, he started this parampara of, not started this parampara, but this preaching mood actually originated from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, but then he was given the actual shape or actual form of how it should be done by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So the information that he gathered about Tridanda Sannyas at Srirangam actually proved quite helpful for him. Then after this, in 1905, after learning all this, after having this yatra, he again came back to Puri, and this time also his scholarship has reached its peak at that time because he was conversant with so many branches of knowledge with respect to Vedic, with respect to Oriental, everything. And then he again took issue with Radharaman Charandas Babaji. So, and by this time, this Babaji had become very famous and people in Puri were actually accepting his philosophy. So he could not tolerate that people are being misguided in such manner. So he started going door to door and he used to knock the door and he used to tell that you should not follow this particular Babaji. This he is preaching this wrong. And then he used to preach to that person. And he used to go to the next house and preach like this. And even though people who are walking on the roads, he used to catch them and tell them that this Babaji is actually not doing properly. This is not proper Gaudiya Vaishnavism. It was very vehement. You can understand his mood, how he was intolerant of anything that was against the concept of pure devotional service. This is the mood that we are supposed to imbibe. So when we are discussing these pastimes of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, we can see any diversion, any deviation that happens into the pure principles of Krishna consciousness. Actually, a person who is engaged or who has accepted a guru, who is coming in line of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, he should not accept it, or he should not be able to tolerate these apasampradayas. He should not be able to tolerate all the different kinds of subtle deviations that enter into our sampradaya. So he fights for it. And this is the example. He's an acharya. This is the example that he gives. So because of this, he actually started getting death threats from the followers of this Charan Babaji. So, knowing this, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, you will not be able to accomplish your goal here. So, rather than getting frustrated, you move to Mayapur. And in Mayapur, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has established the actual birthplace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, Yogpit temple, very small temple, has also been constructed. So, you go there and take care of the Yogpit temple, and that way you will be away from all these different places. And he also said that because before Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur established the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it was the caste Goswamis, or those coming in line of Nityananda Vamsha, of Advaita Vamsha and so on. They had mistakenly, or not mistakenly, but they have actually kept, or they are actually proclaiming that a particular place in Kuliagram is the actual birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so that many people come there and they can get donations and they can maintain themselves without any effort. So when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur established that this actual place of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birth is in Mayapur, it was confirmed by Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj also, and people understood that if a devotee of Jagannath Babaji Maharaj's stature and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they are saying this is the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this must be correct. And people stopped going to this temples in Kuliagram and they started coming here. So because of that, the caste Goswamis, they became very irritated and inimical to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and they were always creating some problem or the other in the Yogpit temple. So to maintain that also, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that you please go to the Yogpit and you maintain the administration here. So by this time, Siddhanta Saraswati was irritated, frustrated also. So then he took the vow of chanting the holy names of the Lord 1 lakh every day and 1 billion names in certain set of years in 10 years. So this is like Srila Haridas Thakur. He used to chant 192 rounds a day. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta also chanted 192 rounds a day. And this time also is not only he was chanting, he was doing the administration, and you'll also see that during this time, especially from 1908 to 1915. So he actually started this chanting in 1905. So for 10 years, almost 9 years, 4 months, it took him to complete the chanting of 1 billion names. And during this time also, he used to go to Kuliagram, he used to give lectures, he used to meet, or he used to sometimes go to his spiritual master, Gaurkishore Babaji Maharaj's place. He used to go around to give lectures. And he also completed his commentary on Chaitanya Charitamrita in these 10 years. So you can understand the potency that he had of when he was chanting 1 lakh names a day, 192 rounds a day. At the same time, he was also doing all these things, and he also wrote his Anubhashya commentary on Chaitanya Charitamrita. And in this was in Yogpit. He was in Yogpit in 1909. After 4 years, he had his realization that actually the entire Vrindavan Dham is manifest only few distance from the Yogpit itself. That place was manifested to him in his meditation, and that place he called as Brajapatna, which means the town of Braja. This Brajapatna is very near to Chaitanya Mat. So at that time there were two different places. This Sri Chaitanya Mat. Those who have been to Mayapur, you have Yogpit, and if you go in the straight line, you have Sri Chaitanya Mat, and then after that comes Brajapatna. So these two are now combined in one single compound, but at that time they were two different places. And Chaitanya Mat was not established at that time. Brajapatna was established by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and then he started performing this tapasya of chanting the holy names of the Lord in that particular place. So in 1911, those Smarthas and caste Goswamis, they were against, and by this time, because Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati has situated himself in Mayapur, and 6 years have passed, by seeing his austerities, by seeing his personality, by seeing his work and his purity, and so many people got attracted to him. And the people, and some people, local people also got attracted to him. So this irked or this irritated the Smarthas and caste Goswamis. So they did not like that this person, Siddhanta Saraswati, is neither born in a Brahmana family. Okay, he does not come in the Acharya's line also. But then still, so many people are getting attracted to him, and is proclaiming himself to be a disciple of Gaurkishore Babaji Maharaj, and he's proclaiming, he's preaching Gaudiya Vaishnavism also, actually, which is not proper. He does not come in proper line, and all these people are also getting diverted to him. So to stop that, they wanted to make a program saying only those gurus who are coming in seminal line, Brahminical line, they are only eligible to initiate, and only the caste Goswamis who are coming in their line, they are only eligible to initiate. So to that effect, they actually printed a book which was called Purva Paksha Nirasane. So they printed that book, and then they said that we are going to present this particular work and once for all quash all the claims of the so-called Gaudiya Vaishnavas who are initiating disciples in the name of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is actually not proper. So an assembly was convened on 8th of September 1911. So Siddhanta Saraswati was still there in Mayapur. From there, this assembly was convened, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was actually invited to proceed to, because both sides, it's a debate. So one side you have the Smarthas and the caste Goswamis, on the other side, someone who can represent Gaudiya Vaishnavism should also be there. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was very prominent, active in that way. So he was asked to come, but Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was very sick. So Siddhanta Saraswati took it upon himself to defeat the arguments of the Smartas and Kasta Goswamis. So before he went to that meeting, he actually compiled a book called Brahmana O Vaishnavera Taratamya Vishayaka Siddhanta. So he wrote that in Bengali, and this is available to us now, called Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. This book is still available. It's a good book, it's a book, 200 pages almost. And this book, then he recited, he read the entire manuscript in front of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur was very pleased with this work, and he gave him his blessing that you go and speak in that particular assembly. So this happened in Balighai. This Balighai, there's a village in Balighai, a district of Sujanagar, Midnapur, so it's in Bengal. So he spoke there, and so many common people, normal people are also there. And when, after the Smarta and Kasta Goswamis, they presented their point of view from whatever work they have written, and Siddhanta Saraswati, then if you see, that book itself has two sections. One is, the first section actually is a glorification of the Brahmanas. So it might seem that actually Siddhanta Saraswati is agreeing to what the Smartas have told. But after all this glorification, this is around 60-70 pages of the book itself. And after that, then he speaks about the devotees, as to how the devotees are actually much more glorious than the Brahmanas. So that way, he presents both the arguments, and then he gives a harmonization he gives. And that becomes a constant or immediate hit with all the people. And everybody wants to take the dust of lotus feet of Siddhanta Saraswati for establishing such a brilliant conclusion. But then the police also came there because of such a huge crowd have accumulated there. And all the Siddhanta Saraswati did not want to, he was humble, so he did not want the dust of his lotus feet to be taken by anybody. But then the police could not control the crowd. So what they did, they actually did the abhishek of Siddhanta Saraswati's lotus feet. They took that water, and then on top of that, they poured buckets and buckets of water so that it can be distributed to all the people there. So that was the influence that he had. And this time, it was the same thing, This is 1911, so he still had not finished his chanting of the holy names. And again, there was another contention which was brought forth by the Smartas and Kasta Goswamis, where they questioned the divinity of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. Not the Kasta Goswamis, but the Brahmanas. They brought this point. So again, this assembly, which happened, the Brahmana or Vaishnava, that discussion happened on 8th of September. And within 3 months, at the end of 1911, there was another meeting in Bada Khada. This is in Navadvip itself. Another debate happened, and there also, Siddhanta Saraswati, he established, quoting from Mahabharata, Puranas, Upanishads, and so on, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when this was going on, then the printing press have also come forth, and during that time, the Britishers actually have this control over the printing press, because the revolutionaries and others were using the printing press to mobilize the crowd who can go against the British. So to establish a printing press, one needs to get a license. And Srila Siddhanta Saraswati in 1912, he wanted to establish a printing press, so he applied for that, and then he moved to Calcutta for some time, because he thought if a machinery has to be set up in Mayapur, even if something wrong goes off, then he will not be able to correct it. To service the machineries, to maintain the machineries properly, the machines should be set up in Calcutta. So then he went to Calcutta. Then he takes up a big mansion, which was actually haunted, but then by his chanting and by his presence of the ghost went away. He got the license, and the first thing that he printed was Shri Chaitanya with his Anubhashya commentary and Amrita Prabhava Bhashya of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. Then he printed Bhagavad Gita with Krishna Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. Then Gaura Krishnodaya was written by a Oriya poet, Govinda Das. So he did that. And after that, because the lease was ending for that land, then by this time, Siddhanta Saraswati has already learned how to operate that machine. So he took the entire machine and came it back to Rajapatna. So he did that. So after this, then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he left two acharyas, his Shiksha Guru, his Diksha Guru, they both disappeared within 1 year. So 1914, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur left his body, and in 1915, Srila Gaur Kishodas Babaji left his body. So that time, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati completely lost hopes of whatever endeavor I was doing only to please them, only to serve them. But now that they both are gone, so for whom should I write? Who will read my works? Who will praise me for what I have done in service to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? So when he was lamenting like this, in dream, all the acharyas appear, and then they speak to him. They say, "O Saraswati, why are you worrying? Begin the task of establishing Shuddha Bhakti. Distribute Gauravani universally expand service to Gauranam, Gauradham, and Gaurakam. These the whole names of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the glories of the Dham, and the work of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is propagating the principles of Krishna consciousness. With unbreached enthusiasm, broadcast Bhaktisiddhānta. We are eternally with you, ready to help. The support of unlimited people, immeasurable opulence, and boundless scholarship awaits the blessing to serve your mission. All will manifest when required. Come forward with full strength to distribute the message of Mahaprabhu's Prema Dharma throughout the globe. No worldly hindrance or menace will be able to obstruct this undertaking of yours. We are forever with you. To this, all the acharyas come to his dream and tell him this. So this enthuses him, Siddhanta Saraswati, and then he takes sannyas. He said, no, now, after in 1915, when his chanting of the names is complete, then he comes out, he says with his inspiration from the acharyas, on 27th March 1918, in Brajapatna itself, he takes sannyas, and the same day he established Sri Chaitanya Math and the worship of Sri Gandharva Giridhari with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And from that time onwards, then he goes on to full-scale preaching. So he took sannyas in 1918, and then for 18 years he preached. So it's like this, no? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, after his journey to South India, last 18 years he was experiencing the ecstasy of separation from Krishna. So he experiences ecstasy like that. So similarly, in one way, we can say that Srila Siddhanta Saraswati also, he was in an ecstatic condition, preaching the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for the rest of his 18 years for serving Srila Ṭhākura, Gaurkishore Babaji Maharaj and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, so I'll stop here. So we'll have Pushpanjali, and then after that, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada ki, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai.